Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Well, we come now to the Feast of All Saints. We've come to the month of November. We've also had that daylight saving time change. We fell back an hour. No wonder you all look so rested here at Mass. Don't you wish, by the way, that every year we could fall back an hour but never have to spring forward? I don't know what that would look like after 5 years of that, but we'd all be a little better rested. But now that we're into November, we start thinking about holidays and holy days. It's in this month of November that we have one of the most important national holidays, Thanksgiving. And I particularly love this national holiday because it has a religious basis. It was declared first by President Abraham Lincoln in the midst of the Civil War, which was so bloody, and a war fought on our own soil, so badly divided us. And in the midst of the Civil War, President Lincoln declared that we should pause for one day to give thanks to God for the bounty which we enjoy in this wonderful nation. And so even the holiday, in a sense, has very real sense, a religious origin. And for us, we keep it with that religious significance as well. So we have that holiday in November, and then about a month later, we have one of the two greatest feasts of the church, a holy day, that of Christmas. And because we have a holiday and a holy day now, in the near future, the state has formally, officially issued directives, regulations, restrictions related to the holiday of Thanksgiving and the holy day of Christmas. And I'm going to read some of these. This comes from the state. In any of these holiday or holy day gatherings where there is more than the immediate household, and I'm quoting now, the host of the gathering must collect all names and addresses of those attending. All gatherings must be held outside. You can go to the bathroom inside if the bathroom is frequently sanitized. All seating must be socially distanced. All food must be in a single-serve disposable dish. You must wear a mask at all times unless you are eating. You can only gather for 2 hours maximum. Singing is discouraged, but if you must sing, you must wear a mask and sing below a standard speaking voice. Finally, indoor worship services are prohibited. Doesn't that sound like something straight out of hell, written by demons in anticipation of a religious holiday and a religious holy day, times of family and faith? It sounds like something straight out of hell, written by demons. But it actually comes from political leaders in the state of California. So being outdoors might not be as bad in California at Christmas time as being outdoors in Minnesota. But this, what I read to you, is quoted directly from the California regulations. in anticipation of Thanksgiving and Christmas. And you know, we're not that far here in Minnesota from California. And I don't mean numbers of miles. I mean in political leadership. It was just this past Friday that the two candidates of the two major parties running for the office of the President of the United States came to Minnesota, a key state in this election, a possible swing state. Both came on Friday, but with regards to the one, namely the President of the United States, our political leadership, including the governor and the attorney general, took steps in advance to ensure that rather than the anticipated 25,000 Minnesotans who intended to be present outdoors at an airport to hear a president speaking days before the election, these political leaders of our state took actions to ensure no more than 250 Minnesotans could be present. So thousands and thousands and thousands of Minnesotans who are supposed to have the freedom to hear what is said through the freedom of speech by the President of the United States of America were denied that opportunity. And so far as I know, we are the only state that has done that to the President of the United States of America. And shame on our leaders. And by the way, we have the other national humiliation of being the only state with a city in which our leadership forced our law enforcement to abandon a police precinct, forced them to stand down and abandoned it. We are a national disgrace. But that is just a taste of what is in store if this election goes badly. It's just a taste. And it is no exaggeration to say that this election, Tuesday of 2020, is more important than any other election in the history of our nation and in the history of the entire world. Since man and women have been upon the face of the earth, through all generations and societies and peoples and races, there has never been an election more important. Because there is a radical element, and we know who they are. They have been burning down our cities, our buildings, and looting and killing. There are those who are seeking to seize this election and power to have a worldwide government and tyranny. And I'm not the only one saying this. And it's not only Americans who recognize this. I have spoken of Archbishop Vigano, who has written 3 open letters to the President of the United States of America. He was a very powerful Vatican official at one point, perhaps 3rd highest below the Pope. He was our nuncio, the representative of the Pope in our nation for years, so he has a love and affection for our nation and a concern for our nation and also the world. And he has described the war that is taking place and what is at stake in this election as the war between the children of darkness and the children of light. Those who seek to bring the darkness of the kingdom of Satan here on earth, of tyranny and oppression and godlessness, and the children of light who seek to bring the light of Christ and truth and freedom, true freedom, are at war. And the Archbishop and others have said, if freedom is lost in the United States of America in this election, and it is on the ballot, very much so, if it is lost, soon the entire world will be under tyranny. The entire world. You realize what's at stake with your vote, your personal vote in this. That much, the entire world. There have been tyrants in generations, centuries, and millennia past. None could achieve world domination. The Roman Empire could not rule the entire world. The Greeks could not rule the entire world. The Persians before them, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians, they all had tyrants, but they didn't have the means to rule the entire world, only their empires, as far as they could expand them. But with technology and all that goes with it, a few today could literally rule the world. And if that happens, friends, we are in the apocalypse. Trust me. And if that's God's will, there's nothing that we can do to stop that. But short of that, we can put a stop to this attempt to bring down the one obstacle, and that is our nation. Bring down this one obstacle, our nation and its democracy, bring it down in this election to make way for a one world government and a worldwide tyranny. I've spoken on this for weeks, trying to persuade, and now I have no more to say from the pulpit before the election. The time for persuading has passed. The time for acting is now. If you have not yet voted, and I have in person, then you must vote. Unless you happen to be somebody who accidentally stumbled in here and you have a badly formed conscience, then stay home and sleep for the next week or two. But I don't see anybody like that here right now. But if you have a Catholic conscience, a godly conscience, then you vote. And you don't let anything stop you. The enemies, that is, the children of darkness, have already said they're going to bring violence into our cities and streets to intimidate us or use other means. They will attempt to slow down the election process. It'll be naturally slowed down because of all the restrictions on distancing and indoor numbers. So perhaps you might want to vote tomorrow in person, but regardless, you vote. And if you have to stand in line for 4 hours on Election Day, well, I deployed 4 times during the Iraq War to protect this nation. You can stand in line for 4 hours if that's what it takes. But vote. Every single vote counts in the most important election in the history of the world. And finally, continue to pray. For weeks, I and others have been urging the faithful to pray at least a rosary every day. And you'll have to continue that not only through Tuesday, but thereafter, because there will be attempts to steal this election by the children of darkness. We know it's already happening, and it will continue. So our prayers will have to continue. And remember this, too, on this Feast of All Saints, and I've said this before. We're not electing perfect saints to office. So far as I know, there's no perfect saint on the ballot. That is not required to be somebody worthy of consideration of our vote. We vote for those who are godly enough that they will protect unborn lives and the elderly from destruction by abortion, euthanasia. We vote for those who at least will allow us the freedom to practice Catholicism as we have a right. So while not having perfect saints or even all Catholics, there are men and women who are godly enough, who stand on platforms that are suitable and worthy of our votes as Catholics. The time for persuasion has ended, at least from this pulpit. Time for voting is now. And of course, it is always a time of prayer. So in these final hours leading up to the election, pray, pray, and pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.